When did you miss an obvious hint that someone wanted to have sexual relations with you? I have many such stories. As a young man, I seemed to always operate on the assumption that there was no way a girl could really be interested in me. The one that comes to mind is when I took a girl out in college. I dropped her off at her place and we kissed. She looked at me and said, "My roommate is gone for the weekend. I have the room all to myself." I replied, "You're lucky. I'm in a triple so I never have my room to myself. Well, good night." Some girl asked me if I wanted to get drunk at her house and watch her do Pilates. I said no and realized my error when I got back home. That's not even subtle. How do you miss this, lol? In university, living in residence, down in the first floor common area hanging out with friends. I'm giving a piggyback ride to a really cute girl. She, "Why don't you carry my up to my room?" Me, "Guys aren't allowed on the girls floor." I give her another ride around the common room instead. A man of the law, I see. I was a lifeguard in high school. Had a girl ask me if I could teach her mouth to mouth sometime, and winked at me. I told her she should just sign up for a first aid course. This is the best one by far. Something so obvious yet someone so oblivious. Bless you, Brol Mayo. What I'm getting from this post is that even when girls blatantly state "I want to have sex with you," us guys will still be oblivious and just take it as a joke. Not that we take it as a joke, it is more like this crap ain't real and laugh it off. She was a co-worker and we have the type of relationship where we can say fricked up crap and laugh about it. One time we were both on shift and I was about to leave. She asked what I was planning to do later. Me jokingly, "Probably go home and jerk off." Her in a softer voice, "Oh, did you need any help with that?" Me, "No thanks, I'm pretty good at it." At the time I really thought she was just playing into the conversation. Good joke though. I don't know if this was necessarily sexual, but it was definitely me missing an obvious sign. There was a very pretty girl that I was very interested in college. We had the same major so shared a lot of classes. One day she and I are talking and she says, "We should get together and study at my place. I can make dinner and everything." I replied with something like, "Oh, that'd be really nice and sounds like fun. Our class is small enough that we could probably invite everyone." She, "Hey, do you want to have sex?" Me, "Oh, I would love to. It's just hard to find a girl who likes me." True story. Expectations too low. Self-destruct sequence initiated. A long-time friend had come to visit me. We lived about 50 miles apart at the time, and after a few drinks insisted she wanted to stay the night. I say sure, stay the night. Sleep anywhere you like. Her reply was something along the lines of, "Is sleeping in bed with you okay?" I've known her for many years and she is one of my best friends, so the idea of sleeping with her honestly never crossed my mind. So without hesitation I tell her that's probably the most comfortable place and I'm totally fine with it. I start changing for bed but leave a t-shirt on as to not make things uncomfortable and hop onto one side of the bed. My friend, who is an easy 9/10, comes into my room in just her panties on and says something along the lines of, "Hopefully you don't mind. It's kinda hot in here." Instead of cluing in at this point I thought to myself, dang, she's right. It is kinda hot, so I then took my shirt off, got up, flicked off the lights and told her she could have one of the 2 blankets. No sex was had and I often still look back on that night and wonder if I am secretly gay, or just not so secretly a complete buffoon. According to Urban Dictionary, a buffoon is a moron who thinks he is smarter than others but cannot spell the word buffoon. Don't know if that applies here, but I thought I would point it out. She asked me if we can continue to talk in my bed, so I just kept talking in the bed. Mayo. At least she was good listening. So close and yet so far. Was my partner in science and business classes in high school. Invited me to her family's cabin for a weekend. Just her and me. I asked about a friend and she said no, just the 2 of us. I never got back with her and kind of forgot about it until a couple years later when she pointed out the obvious. Oh yeah, then there was also the co-worker that I was working alone with on Valentine's Day who had just finalized her divorce and how it was her first Valentine's Day alone in a long time. When she came back from lunch she gave me one of those giant Hershey kisses and when I hugged her to thank her she kissed my neck. Then I smiled at her, apologized for not getting her anything, and got back to work. Posted before, but girl was running her hand through my hair telling me how soft it was and asking me how I did it. Proceeded to talk for like 5 minutes about TGE shampoo I was using till she cut me off to tell me she had been trying to flirt with me all night. Well, at least she told you. A girl told me multiple times she thought of us like Eric and Donna from that 70s show. All my dumb teenage brain could think was this is inaccurate. I don't smoke weed. Never mind that Eric and Donna were fricking for half of the show. At least, I think that's what she meant. Still not sure. Better safe than sorry, brother. My husband was my friend of over 15 years before we started dating. He was super popular and hot in high school, where we met. I was super large and a few grades younger than him, and he was in a relationship for like 10 years, so it was always just friends. I definitely didn't stand a chance. When we both moved to LA 7 years later and were both single, we hung out a lot and got closer. One night, we were drinking and it was late and he just tells me how awesome I am and plants a huge smacker on my lips. I suddenly revert to a 15-year-old with no self-esteem and think there's no way he's into me. That must have been a friend kiss. A friend kiss. Like what is that? I scared him away for like 2 months where he thought I wasn't into him. But eventually he tried again and it clicked. He's my best dude and now my husband and the nicest person I know, and I'm so glad friend kisses don't really exist. Friend kiss. WTF. When I was about 18 I was sleeping over at the place of the girl I'd had a crush on for years. As I went to sleep on the couch she said you could sleep here in the bed if you want. Her bed, that she was currently in. I honestly have no idea what actually happened inside my brain at that point, but no, the couch isn't so bad is what it came up with. At a James Bond theme party, girl says to me you could be my Goldfinger and I could be your P galore. Me. Ha. Good pun. I'm more into a lot of vagina. In high school I had $1 I was going to use for something food related. She snatched it and put it down her shirt and told me if I wanted it I would have to go get it. It was about 6 years later I recalled that moment and realized the missed opportunity. So, I once had a gal who did that and I thought she was giving me the green light. She told me that was not okay. We talked about it, and she realized how I misread it, but it was definitely awkward. A guy had been touchy for the whole night, touching my legs, my back. We were all hungry and drunk at that time and my apartment was nearby. Everything was closed so he asked me to go to my place to get some food. My friend offered to accompany me but he said he could do it instead. I didn't pick up the signs. He kept on trying to get some time alone but I was too oblivious to realize. I went out to Vietnamese food for dinner with this girl I knew from school. Date was going great. Flirting, teasing each other, that sort of thing. At one point, I jeered her a bit for being late, and she responds that she was showering. I jokingly say oh come on how long can that take? She goes well, I like to be completely hairless and that takes time. That caught me pretty off guard so I laughed it off in a sort of stunned amusement. Thinking why did she tell me that? Yay. I wonder why. Well, we keep talking and the date's still going great. Eventually we leave, and I walk her to her apartment. We arrive, at which point I'm thinking this is where we part ways. As we're finishing our conversation, she goes oh so you can come up to my room to hang out. I'll just be studying. Here's where I do the usual guy thing. I think she's just being nice and say no. Besides, she's gonna be studying so I shouldn't disturb her anyway. So thinks my empty head. I think she mentioned it one more time to really make future me wince, and I again decline. So we say goodbye and go on our merry ways. What really kills me now, maybe more reason than what I just shared, is that I felt pretty self-satisfied as I was walking home. The whole walk back, I thought how that shaving line and her asking me out sure were pretty weird, but probably nothing. I feel great about this night. So yay. A girl told me she shaved her pee for me and I said yay she's just being nice. If she left out the study part of the invite it probably would have been more clear. Told this one before but when my dad was young he was sitting outside with a girl after a party. She asked him if he wanted to go back to his place and make pancakes. He told her he was out of eggs. Well he was in the position to bring some fresh eggs with him. We just got back from our first lunch date and both worked at Chipotle next to campus. I lived in the apartments above and had just a couple minutes to spare before my shift. Had to run upstairs quick to change, and she asked if she could come with, and definitely had that look about her. I kind of knew what she meant at the time but had to be at work since I was on thin ice for some unrelated stuff. I kindly declined, even as she persisted, and ran up and back down just in time to clock in, like a Boy Scout. After that, vibes were definitely gone. I have Vietnam flashbacks to this day of what she must have thought. Ugh. This beautiful girl invited me over. She was trashed and heartbroken, and I just wanted her to be happy. She was a friend, you know? I think the height of that evening was, "I'm wearing matching underwear." To which I replied, "Geez, so organized." At night, she climbs into bed and peeled the cover back. So, I picked up a stuffed animal on the floor thinking that's what she wanted, and I slept on the floor. A real homie till the end. I'm sure she appreciated it later on. In short, drunk me manages to ignore thrown underwear. People used to crash over at my place all the time. Last house before a long road to the next town. Girl asked to stay over, which was normal and fine. I was locking up the house while she went up to my room. She already laid down in my bed, which was unusual but fine by me. Normally I would take one of the two mattresses of my bed for people to sleep on. Now here comes the kicker. This girl, while laying under the covers, tosses her underwear into the room while saying she wanted them to stay clean for the next morning, and my drunk butt goes, "Yup, that makes sense," and proceeds to grab a pajama and hand it to her. Drunk me is not a very bright man. I had a pair of panties thrown at me when I was being oblivious to the situation. Easiest way to get my head in the game though. Would definitely recommend that interest be declared by panty toss. Back in college, I was jokingly complaining to a good friend of mine that I never get any love letters on Valentine's Day. She said, "Well, I know someone who is in love with you." I demanded her to tell me who, and she turned bright red and wouldn't say anything else. Later that semester, she asked me out for coffee, so I agreed. We had a great time chatting about life and had a fun time, just like hanging out with any other friend. Weirdly, she stopped really speaking to me after that. There were many other encounters along those lines, but it took me about 3 years to realize that she had a huge crush on me and I was too much of an idiot to notice. Once a girl I was acquainted with at the time sat on my lap at a party and stayed there for half an hour talking about her day and asking me questions. Then she left and my friends made fun of me for not picking up the advance. I thought she just couldn't find anywhere else to sit. AWW, that's so pure. Came back from a dinner with some friends in my car, one of which was my friend's sister. She clearly points me out and asks what I'm doing after and asks if I want to come hang out with her and have a couple drinks at her place. What do I say? No, that's okay. I'm going to go back and watch some Mulan. I wondered why everyone else in the car got really quiet after that. She wanted to get down to business, but you refuse the hun. I was at a party and this cute girl kept on finding reasons to talk to me the whole night. I just thought, wow, she's so friendly and never picked up on the flirting. Toward the end of the night it's just the two of us alone and we get on the subject of injuries and surgeries. Turns out we both had to have hernia surgery, which involves an incision near the groin. At this point she says, "Actually, you can still feel the scar," and takes my hand and puts it down her pants. I told her that I could not feel the scar, and her doctor must have done a good job. She removed my hand and just walked away. Didn't hit me until I was driving home an hour later. I just assumed she was overly friendly and comfortable with her body. After a night out at the pub, she, "Wanna come up for a coffee?" Me, "It's a bit late for coffee. I have to be able to wake up in the morning for work." I did not get what she was going at all. Another night out, she, "Wanna see my place and have a cup of tea?" Now here I actually did go back to her place for a cup of tea. She showed off her sweet bathtub and her bedroom. We had a cup of tea and talked for a bit, and then it was getting really late, so I left. Another night out, she, "Dang, I missed the train. Could I sleep at your place?" Me, "Yes OFC." So we went back to my place, changed the sheets in bed for her to sleep in, and I slept on the sofa. There's so many more, and probably way more, that I've just been too dang oblivious to see. It's like your sperm has agoraphobia. Went out for drinks with a former co-worker to catch up. I'm pretty sure at some point she straight up asked, do you want to have sex, but it was so loud out I just kinda stared back and said, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, the cars driving by are so freaking loud. She said it again, and again I couldn't hear, so I literally stood up and leaned over the table and said one more time, please. She changed topics. Still had a fun evening. I went to a concert with a friend and there was this really cute girl there who was definitely my type, like she stood out in the crowd to me, but she was there with 3 guys, so not likely I'd get a chance, even if I wanted to try talking to her. The headliner's set started and that girl walked up to stand next to me, without the guys, I think. She leaned over and made a joke. We talked a little and laughed, but I didn't want to force her to keep talking while the band she was there to see was playing. Then she talked to me more. We got along great and joked around a little, but I didn't want to obligate her to miss the band playing. Then she kept talking to me, and I kept reacting the same way out of politeness. Eventually she just walked away and I went, oh, god dang it, and mentally repeated god dang it for about 4 days straight. School fair. Final senior year. I was chilling in the canteen area with a friend and his girlfriend. This really hot girl notices that I'm kinda third wheeling, so she calls me over to sit on a table with her. Just the 2 of us on this table. We have a really long conversation about how we hate our art teacher or something, and then she says she's hungry, so we start walking around the food stalls. We hold hands while wandering around the food stalls, which I thought was weird but didn't mind. Side note. Somewhere in conversation while walking around the food stalls she brought up that she wasn't wearing a bra. She had a really small crop top on and that was it. So anyway, we get to one end of the row of food stalls, still not having eaten anything, and she just keeps walking. So I follow her outside of the school fair to a little secluded area surrounded by bushes, and she confesses she likes me. My dumbass didn't get any of the hints in the moment that she wanted to have sex, so I just got her number and then we kept walking through the food stalls looking for something to eat. Later on we went on our first date, then our second, which we kissed on, and then I think we kinda mutually agreed it wasn't working without actually saying anything. Neither of us were bitter cause we still see each other every day and say hi. In hindsight, I think she had far different intentions that day at the school fair, and me not following through kinda showed her I wasn't ready for that kind of relationship, which I honestly don't think I was. Sure, I would have loved to have sex with one of the hottest girls in the year, but I was very innocent compared to her, and I think it was truly for the best that I didn't realize her true intentions behind the bushes at the school fair. Was about 16. Was dyeing my hair at a friend's house. One of her friends was in the basement with me while it set. There was a big laundry sink that I was going to use instead of the bath or shower. I read the instructions and they said I have to wait 30 minutes or something, and the friend's friend was acting as seductively as a 16-year-old girl could. Dropped a strap of her tank top and said, "What are you waiting for?" I said about 16 minutes. She went upstairs. Best friend in high school kept saying things about the girl I had a crush on. She's such a lucky girl. She's an idiot for ignoring you. She shouldn't let you on like that. I'd totally suck you off at every chance if I was her. Her loss. She was right. My crush was an idiot. One of these things is not like the others. Not my story, but my buddy was once invited back to her place after the pub for coffee. When he got there, she said that she didn't actually have any coffee, so he apologized for misunderstanding and left. No, thanks. I can't drink coffee at night. It keeps me up. I was drunkenly asleep on a mate's sofa after a party. Then some naked girl climbs on top of me. I wake up and realize my bladder is about to explode. Excuse myself and gently push her aside. When I come back, I mumble to myself, still half asleep, that sofa is way too small for 2 people. Then I go back to sleep on the other now empty sofa. My mate was quite amused, telling me about it the next day. Virgin me was less amused. An acquaintance dressed in a sexy outfit that normal people notice walks up to me and we start chatting. Her, "What's your family background? Where are they from?" Me, "Czech Republic." her. I've never been with a Czech guy. Locks eyes with me and says, "I'd like to try that." Me, "You should. We're awesome." This was painful to read. In my early 20s, I went out with a woman who was a friend of a friend. The date went well and at the end of the night, we were heavily making out on her sofa. She suddenly pulls back and says it's getting late. We should go to bed. I say, "Oh, okay. Well, I had fun tonight. Thanks for a great evening. I'd really like to get together again soon." As soon as I got home, I heard it. One word. It echoed in the hollowness of my skull and kept increasing in volume until all that was left in the world was my stupidity and that word. We. Could have been the royal we. She said she wants to frick you. Really? Yeah. And this is the second time she said it. And when she said it this time she asked if I had been telling you what she was saying. When I said no she asked me to make sure that I did. Haha, she's so cookie. We did eventually end up dating. But JFC, am I slow? You are slow but steady. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.